Alrighty, so now that we've created our index template, we're ready to start duplicating to create our other pages. It's important to note that we're going to take our index and just create copies of it, and they're all going to be linked together automatically. And the way I know that we're all going to be linked together automatically is because we have some links in our table, starting with index.html. Index.html is this file over here, and it already exists, but the following ones, car, fire, space, biking, and contact.html, don't exist yet, but we have linked to them. So there's a couple ways that we can kind of preview this and watch this as it changes. We can go to the bottom right here of our section for our code, and in this preview option you have preview in a browser, and you can look in the different browsers that are installed on your computer. This works most of the time, but sometimes it doesn't, so I'm just kind of giving you a caveat. I'm going to open mine in Google Chrome, and usually it shows like a device preview, and what this is showing is a preview off of your computer. But as you can see, sometimes it takes a really long time to load, or it has a really difficult time. So like mine down here was saying waiting for cache, and it says that over here still, it's popping back and forth. On the one I tried to load earlier, it says it's waiting, and so on and so forth. So if you're not getting the live preview to happen through Dreamweaver, you can always go to your files. So we can always go to our File Explorer window and open our index from there, which will allow us to then preview it inside our browser. So I'm going to go and close this because that's not loading. And I'm going to open up a File Explorer window. And when I open that up, I'm going to then browse to where my Lego site is. So I'm going to go to my files on my computer and browse to my Lego folder, and I've got my index. And you can see it's an HTML document, so it's going to default to whatever your browser is, your default browser. You can always right click and open it with whatever browser you want to. I'm going to go ahead and double click it, and it's going to open up inside of Google Chrome for me. So once it loads, it should show all of your different pieces you've got. So you can see I've got my header, my A side, my article, my footer, which is aligned to the right over here, and I've got my links. And when I hover over each of these, they are showing my links. And what's also important to note is that they are also showing down in the bottom left. So I want you to look down here when I hover. So when I hover over home, you can see that it ends in lego/index.html. And then cars ends in lego/car.html. And so what's important to note is that these are going to change as we move through. Something else to note I want you to say is that right now we're looking at a file that's on our computer. So everything before index.html, you can see like it's going into a file. Mine's going into the district drive on my staff folder, El Silvius desktop, my digital design folder. You can see those spaces, Lego, and then index. So we're going into a file on our computer, not on the web. So that's really important to note because later on we're going to be going into something on the web. So essentially what we're going to do is take this page and duplicate it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the word article here. Instead of it saying article, I'm going to make it say Lego home page. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to physically see that this is the Lego home page and it's the home icon. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way up to the top inside my head, and I'm going to change this title. Remember that this title controls the title that is on your page up at the top in the tab. So here's mine says Untitled Document, just like it says Untitled Document here in the title. And if I change this to home page, and then I can do that -Lego, and I go File, Save All, going back to my browser, I'm going to need to go ahead and refresh it. And when I refresh, you'll see it says Homepage Lego and Lego Homepage. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this page. So how would I create a copy of index? What would I do to duplicate it? Usually we Control-C, Control-V, but right now we're working with files, and that's a little bit different, right? So I've got the files over here. I can look at my files panel, and I can go to index, and let's try right-clicking it. And when you right-click it, one of your options is to edit, and you can duplicate it right here. Another way that you can do this is simply going to File, Save As. when you go to File Save As rather than Save, you can change the file name to whatever you want. So you can see here that I can, instead of saying index, I can name it car, and I can click Save. Then over here in my files, I should have, if I refresh it, a car file pop up. And you can see up here now, I've got index and I've got car. And it's important to note that car.html matches car.html right here. So I have that way of duplicating it. I can also right click and let's try edit and duplicate and see what happens there. When I duplicate that, you'll see that now I have an index-copy.html. Well, none of my files over here in my links are called index-copy.html. The next one I want is a fire.html. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to right click this file and I'm going to hit edit rename, and I'm going to rename it to match my HTML anchor tag over here for fire. So it's going to be fire.html. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter to keep that. So now what I want to do is I want to open up Fire, because right now I don't have Fire open. You can see up here I've got index and I've got car, but I don't have Fire. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click on Fire over here, and now I've got the Fire. So I'm going to change each of these because I want to make sure that you understand what's happened at this point. And I want you to see those changes. So I'm currently on fire.html, and instead of it saying homepage-lego up here on the title, I'm going to make it say Fire Legos-Lego. I'm also going to note that I've got fire.html here, car.html, and index.html. So if I was on the Fire page, could I link back to car and index? Yes, but I can't link back to Space, Viking, and Contact. So the other thing I want to do is I want to go down to article here, and I want to go ahead and name this Fire page. And then to make sure I saved everything, I'm going to go File, Save All. I'm going to go to, and I'm going to just hit Save. And if it asks me to overwrite it, I can, because I'm overwriting the fire.html file I had. Then I'm going to go to car. I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to go ahead and put car Legos in the title. And I'm going to go down to the article here, and I'm going to change that to say car page. And go File, Save All. Okay, so index is saved, car is saved, fire is saved, good. Note, we don't have a page for Space, Viking, or Contact. So right now, if I go back to my page and I refresh this, I'm still on my home page for Lego in Google Chrome. It says Lego homepage. If we were to go click on Viking right now, it wouldn't work because there is no Viking page. So it says your file's not found because there is no file called viking.html. And right here, it's trying to find viking.html in my Lego folder. Doesn't exist. So I'm gonna hit the back button. This time, instead of clicking on Viking, I'm gonna click on one that I've already created. We've created car. So if I click on car, you'll see that it will in fact work. And now it says car page here and car Legos here, which in Dreamweaver, it says car page here and car Legos here. So it's working because we know we're on the car file. And you can even tell you're on the car file because it says Lego/car.html. Fire should work too. So what's cool is that all of these are linked to the same thing. So if I go to Fire, even though I'm on the car page and I'm linking to Fire page, it now links and they're connected. So the last thing we need to do is create Space, Viking, and Contact. So essentially, I'm going to go back to my index, File, Save As, because I found out that that's easier than trying to duplicate, then rename, like I did for Fire. And I'm going to name this space.html. And it's really important that you match the name that you put inside of your table. Save that. I should then have a space.html pop up. I'm then going to change the title as well as the article to say Space Legos. deleted the closing my tag, so I'm gonna fix that. Go down to my article and make it say space page. Files, save all. Then I'm gonna go back to my index, duplicate it again, file, save as. This one's going to be Viking.html because that matches my coding that I created, and I can see that in my table down here. A new page will pop up, and I'm going to go ahead and name it Viking Legos, and go down to my article and name it Viking page. File, save all. And one last time, index, file, save as. Name it contact.html. And then rename the title and the article as well. And the whole point of all of this is that you will have essentially 6 pages that link together. And by creating your links in the table to files that didn't exist prior to this, all your pages now work. So if I go back to my Lego site, I don't even have to refresh because the file now exists. I can click on space. It'll take me to space. See how it's adjusted. Viking, take me to Viking. And you'll see that it will say Viking Legos up here and it'll say Viking down here. And same thing for contact. And they all link across each other, all 6. So now you don't just have a working web page, you have a working website.